Hello and welcome to the customary Yuletide video. So I was trying to think of something seasonal to do this year, and I figured why not do a set musings for Ice Age, something I don't think I've done yet, pretty sure I haven't. I've done a deck durdle for the what I call the pseudo Ice Age block, which was the sort of revisioned or the revised definition of the block of Ice Age, which was, I believe, Ice Age, was it Alliances, and then Cold Snap? I think that's right. But I know I did one in the last year. But I'm just going to put out a set musings. There'll be no commander fodder. There was no theme deck for Ice Age. Theme decks hadn't been invented by when Ice Age went out. And I did try an experimental video when I was sort of putting together, the tabs for this, just to see what I might be able to do, and it didn't really it didn't really pan out, didn't really spark joy. So yeah, that went back on the drawing board. And so for this week, when this goes out, we'll just have a nice set musings, and that'll be good for this week. And then in the new year, we'll spin up the usual Triumvirate videos of a set musings, a deck durdle, and a commander fodder for each set, carrying on from where I left off in 2021, and moving into a new run of sets for 2022. Yeah, it's been another challenging year for everybody in 2021, so hopefully things are going to get better in 2022. Just take a sip of a beverage there. My throat's a bit funny at the moment. So let's have a look at this. You'll notice I've blown up the artwork nice and large, so we can get the full icy goodness for this time of year. So what to look out for when we go through this? There's allied colours were a thing in this set. So this early on in Magic, they were definitely doing things with multiple colours. In fact, there's 3 colours are in a thing in here as well. We've got what's called cantrips. So let me see if I can find one here. I'm going to go through and slice up so you'll see them. But just before we go in, so cantrip is where you have a card draw, and it happens at a particular point. So you play the spell, and then what you should get is on here, and it's funny when you go looking for these things. I was going to scroll through this anyway. Look at this really interesting artwork here. Oh no, there's a swords and snowhound. Kind of a doggo card. It's Christmas. There's counterspell, brainstorm. Yeah, walls are obviously a thing. If you go in, look at the errata, you can see it says defender. At that point, it was assumed, it was written into the rules that walls couldn't attack. So it was just a given. Whereas now you'll actually see defender put on cards. You can see it's pretty busy. Text on here. Here we go. Found one. I'm sure there was one earlier. So, just a regular sorcery, single blue. Look at the top 3 cards of your target player's library. Then either shuffle that library or put those 3 cards on the top of the library in any order. Draw a card at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. So you'll notice there's a number of cards here that have that stapled on them at the end of the rest of whatever the spell is. And that's referred to as a cantrip. I'll include the link to Ice Age on MTG Wiki in the description of this video, and you can go down your own cantrip rabbit hole if you want to know the history of the cantrips and how they relate back to D&D. Also, snow was a thing, no surprising. We got snow lands and various other references to snow, which we'll see. But one thing that always, whenever I look at this period in Magic, you get this style. So let me see if I can show you. This is just something general to do with the aesthetic, which is one of the reasons why I always do this sort of quick scroll through. You can see if you look at the bordering, not only was the colour, obviously the borders, this inner border here, the frame. You'll see there's a style to the actual frame itself. So if you compare the black frame to the red frame, you can see it's quite different. And if we compare that to you can see the green frame in terms of how it is and how it looks. And that's interesting, you see, with the white. It's quite different particularly where the rules area is. Now, it does look like, and that might just be maybe an effect of the colour, I don't know, but you can see here the white ones, it looks to me slightly raised, at least on my screen, and then they've got this sort of mottled parchment effect. And you'll notice that the frame itself has a sort of marbling in the different colours. There's the sort of blue one, and you can see in the blue one that definitely looks like it's depressed here, like there's a dip, if you like, or at least again on my screen, and then there's this sort of watery effect. The black cards always to me look like sort of aged parchment, and then they've got this sort of droplet effect on them. And then if you go down to the red ones, just pretty straightforward red background here where the rules text is. Again, here you can see it's the frame, and I can't remember what the name of this style is, of effect. It's like a beveling. And so the green one also, there's like this wood effect here. Looks like a block of wood. So the rules area particularly has a slightly different style for each colour. Some are more subtle than others. And then the frame itself for the particular colours has a slightly different style of mottling. I've blown this up quite large because these are really good scans actually that Scryfall have got access to here, wherever these have come from. So other things to watch out for. I said snow, and I mentioned allied colours and cantrips. Cumulative upkeep, not my favourite thing. That's in the set as well. Big set, 383 cards, and we've got, often in Magic you're used to seeing some forms of symmetry within the balance of commons, uncommons, rares and various other things. So 121 commons, 121 rares and 121 uncommons. So they're all equal there. That doesn't always happen in Magic. It seems to have happened more in the earlier sets. As you get on later, the balance between the number of commons, uncommons and rares seems to change quite considerably. and we've actually got 20 basic lands in the set, of which some are snow-covered lands. So we'll take a look at those and the different artwork you'll see for that. Ice Age, in terms of chronologically, came between 4th edition and the set Chronicles, which was like a aggregate set of the earlier sort of cards that were unavailable, or were not unavailable but difficult to get hold of. There was a white border, so it's interesting. You've got two white border. It's like it's sandwiched between two white border sets. 4th edition, at that point, the core sets had white borders on them, and sandwiched between that and the white borders used on the Chronicle set. So this came out early June 1995, set on the plane of Domineria. So let us dive in. So I mentioned about allied. I mentioned about specifically about allied colours actually. I'd mentioned there were other multicoloured cards in here. So these are those 2-colour allied cards. So we have 20 of them. So you can see it looks like there is basically that 4 of each. So it looks like what we've got in white blue, we've got an aura, regular enchantment, another aura, so look, all enchantments. In blue black, sorcery, instant enchantment, and actually a legend creature legend. Black red, instant sorcery, enchantment, and summon titan. You also the summon labelling on this can be slightly different, and there's lots of different reasons as to the naming convention was slightly different here, so that it only really had referenced one creature type. And also what they've done with creature types is they've changed creature types. So centaur is still a centaur, but this is a centaur archer now. So they've, retrospectively through so-called oracle text, where they've updated the database, if you like, to include additional subtypes of creatures, and in this case, completely changed the creature type as well. So Frost Beast now becomes an elemental beast. So it looks like every one of these has at least one creature, except for the white-blue combination. Yeah, you'll notice as well, although there are cycles, they can get a little bit confusing. Okay, so this is all our cantrips. Is it cantrips or cantraps? I always get confused. So it's cantrips. Cantrips are cantrips. These are them. There's 23. So I've basically done a search here in Scryfall for anything that includes draw and beginning and next to capture this. So you can see these all have that, in addition to whatever they do. So none of these are pure card draw, I don't think. The other thing at this point in Magic you might notice is so this is interesting. So I just contradicted myself. So Pike Knight, 2 and a green, I actually know it's a creature, so it's got card draw stapled to it. Yeah. So I wondered whether there was just a straight, instant or sorcery speed card draw. It is interesting because it does mean that you've got card draw across all the colours. But what you'll notice is, the colour pie and what was attributed to the colour pie at this point in Magic's history can get a little bit wobbly. So I'm just looking to see if anything particularly stands out here. But other things, you notice that you don't now. You see in certain colours a lot. So this sort of tapping and untapping business. There's library manipulation in blue. It's our old friend Necropotence. And we've got direct damage. The other thing you might notice with this, it's interesting to compare like the power levels of non-creature spells versus creature spells. And again, early in Magic's history, the power differential was quite marked between the two types of spells. Creatures weren't always particularly powerful in this point in time. So here's all our snow stuff. 36 cards which in some way reference snow. Either the card type includes snow or the text includes snow. And you'll see that spreads across. A lot of it mentions snow-covered lands and cares about, do you have snow-covered lands in play, or are there snow-covered lands in play? Oh, look, there's a dreaded cumulative upkeep. We'll get onto that in a moment. And then obviously, because of that, we've got a set of snow-covered lands in each of the appropriate colours of mana. Again, interesting things with the borders here. Look, you can see different colours on the frame, on the border frame. Some good old woolly mammoth. So one thing to note, particularly with basic land, is the start at that point in Magic. You had these starter decks, and in the starter decks you got the equivalent of about 3 boosters roughly, but you also got a load of land in there as well, a load of basic lands, and it would have included snow-covered lands as well. So here's cumulative upkeep, 30 cards. It's interesting to see like a mana dork in white. I know that's, there have been other cards in Magic's history, but you've got a unicorn here that can add either blue or blue and 1 colourless mana to your mana pool. This mana is available only for cumulative upkeep, plays ability as an interrupt. The other thing they were differentiating here is between interrupts and instants. I'm not too good at explaining that off the top of my head, so again, I'll include a link in here that sort of explains at that point what the difference. Of course, what happened was effectively everything that was an interrupt became an instant. But you'll notice that some of the cards that are now considered to be instants, some of them had interrupt on them. So it looks like we've got a combination of cumulative upkeep that's coloured and cumulative upkeep that's colourless. or mana of any colour, should I say? Which is more correct to say that. So some that's mana of any colour, some is that is mana of a specific colour. And cumulative upkeep means exactly that. So in order to keep it into... So here you've got the explanation. At the beginning of your upkeep, put an age counter on this permanent, then sacrifice it unless you pay its upkeep cost for each age count on it. So it's not an upkeep cost, it's a cumulative upkeep cost. So it accumulates over time. So the longer this is in play, the more you have to spend to keep it in play. Now, consequently, you'll see those creatures and other things that impart a certain effect. And obviously, because of its nature, this is only going to apply, and that's why there's no instance or interrupts here. That's only going to apply to permanents. So, artifacts, creatures, or enchantments. I'm just mesmerised by the artwork. Another note, at this point, obviously they weren't... the set symbol was here, and that was a thing obviously in non-core sets, but also what they weren't doing, well, they had the set symbol, they weren't colouring the set symbol. That didn't happen until later. So there's no way of telling the rarity by looking at the set symbol. And this course is going out in 95. So back then, rarities of cards to some degree, were sort of shrouded in mystery a little bit. Because the internet isn't as it is now, where everybody knows everything about Magic product even before it's been released. So back then there was a bit more of a mysteriousness, a bit more of a mystery around the various rarities. Obviously Wizards knew, but outside of that it was could be tricky to find out. Obviously that changed over time. It's always interesting to see how they've, altered the text, the rules text accordingly to try and simplify things a little bit. So then we have cumulative upkeep. I was just going to look actually and see. Whether there were any other. So this is like a 4/4 for 4 with flying. So in the case of creatures and probably everything else that's here, because of the presence of cumulative upkeep, the card itself is more powerful than it would be for a similar costed card. Flow of Maggots can't be blocked by non-wall creatures. Pretty mean. Two 4/4 artifacts. Whoa, you can just pump a load of mana into that fella. Okay, maybe this video will take quite a long time because I'm getting a bit mesmerised. So we're on to the cycle. So we got circles of protections. This is, you know, these are a thing back then. They're all in white, but they give you protection against a particular colour of magic. So you've got black, blue, green, red, and then white itself. So, and they all have the same sort of text, which is, you know, 1 and a white to cast, 1 to activate the ability on here. Frontal damage against you from 1, and then just, you can see it's different for each one. Source: if a source deals damage to you more than once in a turn, you may pay 1 each time to prevent the damage. And is it a different artist for each? No. So 3 out of the 5 are the same artist. Yeah, so 3 from one artist, 2 from the other. Cycle of Scarabs, all in white, and again all do the same thing, but the condition is colour dependent. So the black Scarab, got target creature gets +2/+2 as long as any opponent controls any, and then you got the colour again cards. That creature cannot be blocked by, again, the colours reference creatures, and you can see that's the same. So in the basic template, you're just substituting the particular colour of the card. Okay, so now we move on to enchantments. So this was tricky to filter for, so I'll pick these out. So what we're looking out for here is mono-coloured hoser enchantments, and they hosed cards in different ways. That was the problem. So the templating on the hosing is quite different. In white we've got Drought and Justice. So you can see, I don't know how easy it is to read this. Let me try and get into this main thing and then we'll see what I'm talking about. So with Drought, at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice Drought unless you pay double white. Spells cost an additional sacrifice a swamp to cast for each black mana in their mana costs. Activated abilities cost an additional sacrifice a swamp to activate for each black mana in their activation cost. So that's basically hating on black, that's anti-black. Justice is also in white, same thing, but anti-red, same sort of thing, in terms of, you know, punishing anybody that's playing that particular colour of mana. And what you'll notice is for each colour it's a different combination of colours. So it's hosing one or other of the enemy colours by punishing opponents or exerting a negative effect for playing lands or spells or whatever. So there's a bit of variability what type of thing it affects, although the common denominator, if you like, is the colours are the enemy colours of the particular colour. So for white it would be black and red, for blue it would be red and green, for black it would be white and green, for red it would be white and blue, and for green it would be blue and black. So just to show you, so we've seen the first two, which is Drought and Justice. We've got Wrath of, where's it gone? Yeah, didn't do a brilliant job here. Wrath of Marit-Lage and Breath of Dreams are the two in blue. You can see they're green and that one's red, hosing red. So the black ones Leshrak's Sigil, which is Hosing Green, and Stench of Evil. Where's that gone? I have lost my Stench of Evil. Oh, that's because I think what I mistakenly did here is assumed they were all enchantments, and they're not. So there's a mixture of things here. That's interesting, because it says actually there's a mistake on MTG Wiki, which actually says that it's enchantments, and it's not. It's a mixture of things. It is mainly enchantments. Stench of Evil is a sorcery. I don't think I'll bother changing this actually. And Anarchy is another one in here, which isn't going to be here because I've filtered for enchantments. And that's a red card. It's just 2 and 2 red. Anarchy is just 2 and 2 red. Destroy all white permanents. And Stench of Evil is 2 and 2 black. Destroy all planes. Stench of Evil deals 1 damage to each player for each plane he or she controls that is destroyed in this way. Each player may put 2 for each 1 damage he or she wishes to prevent from Stench of Evil. Okay. Fair enough. So red now. I've mentioned Anarchy already. Curse of Marit-Lage. 3 and 2 red. When Curse of Marit-Lage comes into play, tap all islands. Islands do not untap during their controller's untap phase. And then we've got the green ones, which are Freely's Charm, so hating on the on black spells. Yeah, you have to activate it though. And then Thought Leech Islands. Whenever an island controlled by a target opponent becomes tapped, gain 1 life. So that's our monocolour hoser enchantments stroke sorceries. And they're, again, there's a bit of variability in the rarity. They're mostly uncommon, but Wrath of Marit-Lage and the Curse are rare. Okay, back to things that are a bit easier to look for. Talisman. So we've got these talisman, 1 in each colour. And you can see the templating is the same, the colours just different. So for the Hematite, and you can see the cost as well. So 3, untapped target permanent. Use this ability only when a red spell is successfully cast, and only once for each red spell cast. You can only do it. So then Lapis Lazuli Talisman is the blue one. Malachite is the green one. Nacre is the white one. And Onyx is the black one. 2 to cast, 3 to activate. Okay. So there were 131 commons. Now, within those commons, there was a whole slew of various allied effect commons. So they were common cards that are a mono-coloured card with effects that benefit or require one of that colour's allied. So yeah, and there's multiple cycles of those. So in white it's going to be Adakar's Unicorn, our ensigns, and you can see if you look on here, this is where the allied effect is. There's an Elvish healer down there, and the ranger as well here. And you move down to the blue ones. Bulduvan Shaman is one of them. Krovikan Sorcerer is another. And down towards the end we've got Zoran Sorcerer, Zoran Enchanter I meant, and the other one is Word of Undoing. And in black, Burnt Offerings one, you can see there. Brine Shaman's another. Move on to our second page here, we've got a couple of pages. Norrit and Soulburn. And then our red ones that are allied effect commons are Battle Frenzy, Bone Shaman, and then we've got some goblin stuff here. So let's go down to our orcs. What are they in there as? They are still orcs. Yep, so orcs. We've got Orcish Farmer and Yorkish Lumberjack. You can see there. And then finally the green ones. There's Dire Wolves, banding if you control any planes. Essence Filter. Shambling Strider and Tinderwall. So those are all the allied effect commons, 4 in each colour across all 5 of the colours in the colour pie, which gives you 20 cards. So these ones here, these are uncommon permanents, so mixture of creatures and, well, 1 enchantment. They have either an activated ability that requires a creature or one of its allied colours. So it requires a creature of one of its allied colours, or 2 activated abilities responding to each of its allied colours. So again, the template's pretty variable. So with this one's what, blue or green? The blue one is white or black. The black one, it's in the actual activation ability, red or blue. Same with the red one, although it's also gets complicated here. It's everything, so it's both in the activation cost and in the what it does, what its target is. And in the green one is red or white. So shard ability commons, that's what they're referred to in MTG Wiki. So white, blue, green, white, black, blue, black, red, blue, red, black, green. I've not necessarily got the order right here. And green, red, white, those all make up the colour of a particular shard. Okay. Depletion Lands. If there are any depletion counters on land cap, so each of these just reference itself, so they're looking for depletion counters on the particular non-basic land. It does not untap during your untap phase. At the beginning of your upkeep, remove a depletion counter from land cap. Tap, add white to your mana pool, put a depletion counter on land cap. Tap, add blue on your mana pool, put a depletion counter on your land cap. So you can see each one of these does a certain, so they're dual lands, and they cover the two allied colours of mana. And so things get slowed down because they don't untap during your untap step if it has a depletion counter on it. And so tapping for the mana puts a depletion counter on it, but in your upkeep you remove a depletion counter. So I suppose what you could argue is that you're going to, you're only going to be able to, you're not going to be able to get mana out of it if you've previously, on the other previous turn, used it for mana. I think that's how that basically works. Okay, Pain Lands. So it's coming to play untapped, which is good. You can tap them to add colourless mana to your mana pool. But if you want to generate the particular allied colours that they cover, then it's going to do damage to you. So for this one, add white to your mana pool and it does 1 damage to you. Add blue to your mana pool, deals 1 damage to you. You can see in this particular iteration of it that everything's really stretched out. If you look at the sort of revised, the Oracle text, then it's condensed down a little bit here. And subsequent reprints of this did simplify it anyway. So if we look at, say, 7th edition, let me just bring this up so you can see. So once you got onto the next printing, so 5th edition, they'd simplified the text somewhat, or condensed it together. And then finally you get up to, when you get to 9th edition, then it's simplified even further still. In terms of the earliest printing of this, then, it is Ice Age. And you can see there's been a few changes to the artwork as well. Well, what did they do for that one? I'll come back. There is some other non-basics, but I'll come back to them because we're still sort of on cycles. Allied rares. So we got a set of allied colour rares, a cycle of them. We've got Chromatic Armour, Skeleton Ship, Mountain Titan, Stormbind, and Altar of Bone. And the similarity is that they're allied colours, they're rare, and they each cost a certain number of mana of any colour, plus 1 mana of each of the allied colours. So there's a white-blue one, a black, a blue-black, black-red, red-green, and white-green. But you can see what they do and what they are is all over the shop. Beyond that, multicoloured hoser enchantments, We're getting pretty specialised here. So, common denominator is they're all enchantments. They all hose stuff. They're all at rare, and they've got allied colours. So they're 2-colour allied. Has one enemy colour in common. Directly or indirectly hoses opponents for playing decks with the enemy colour. 4 of the cards affect the opponent's lands in some way, including Flooded Woodlands and Reclamation, which have mirrored effects. The odd card out is a black-red Ghostly Flame, which costs 2 less and in and of itself does not specifically hose its enemy colour white. Rather, it is designed to bypass white's own protection colour hoses by changing the colour of damage from black or red sources to colourless damage, which prevents the operation of 6 cards from Ice Age, all white, and numerous others from outside the set. So that's read directly from the MTG Wiki article. So, yeah, it's interesting to see, you know, with these cycles. They're pretty loosey-goosey generally. Not quite as tight as ones we've seen in, you know, more recent set musings. Oh yeah, the 3-colour cards. So they're all rare, 3-coloured spells, cost either just straight 3 colours or 3 colours and an additional number of mana of any colour. And those are, as I think I've said, allied colours. So we've got Merrick, Rye, Berit, Elemental Augury, Earthlink, Fiery Justice, and Storm Spirit. And so you can see the only similarity between the cards is the fact they're all at rare. Well, you can't see that. You have to trust me, but they're at rare. And they're 3-colour cards. I brought this up because I didn't want to attempt to go through these individually, trying to do it this way. Mirrored pairs, you can see, are a thing back then. When I talk about mirrored pairs now, there's not quite so many. So what you're seeing is, you know, a card that does a mirrored thing in another colour. So there's the white and the black one, the white and another white, black, a blue and a red. There's quite a few blue and red ones actually. I think all of these, the good news is that the pop-up, hopefully this is popping up on the video, I'm sure it is here. So I know sometimes with some capture software it can have a little bit of a problem. You can see the correct artwork is actually coming up. And quite a few of these we've seen already. And the other thing as well in here, the interesting thing is the mirroring even occurs within the same colour as well. So it's just not different colours for the mirrored card, but also in the same colour. And there's not really any consistent breakdown there. You know, there's some more than others in, you know, some colours. There's a little bit of a nice breakdown in the article as well here with the reprints. That's something I don't really talk about that much in set musings. And that's why, you know, if you are interested beyond the video, then it's definitely worth checking out my links, because, yeah, there's if you're really fascinated, there's loads of information here about the sets, which for me to explain would take an awful long time. Okay, here's the rest of the non-basic lands. We've got Glacial Chasm, Halls of Mist, Ice Flow. They all do a variety of different things. This one has cumulative upkeep on it of 2 life. When it comes into play, sack a land. You cannot attack. All damage you dealt to you is reduced by 0. Halls of Mist, a cumulative upkeep of 1. No creature can attack if it attacked during its controller's last turn. And then Ice Flow, you may choose not to untap Ice Flow during your untap phase. Tap target creature without flying that is attacking you as long as Ice Flow remains tapped, that creature does not untap during its controller's untap phase. So interesting thing here is these are purely utility lands. None of them generate mana of any description. And over time, obviously, some of these, the text may have been cleaned up a little bit to make it a little bit easier to understand what's going on. Two of them have cumulative upkeep as well. So, again, interesting things to see in non-basic lands. That the fact that we've got utility lands with nothing beyond their utility. There's no what's the word I'm looking for? There's no mana generation. The other thing is, look at the border here as well. It looks like it's got the blue bordering around it that we've seen. If it's easy to find again. We'll actually have a look and see. Yeah, in fact, they've all got that. I'll be curious to see what they do for the actual basic lands, which we have here. Yeah, maybe it's a little bit of a stronger blue. So you can see again they've got this colour bordering going on. So 4 pieces of artwork. 3 of the artworks are regular lands. The 4th one is a snow-covered version. So you've got snow-covered plains, snow-covered islands, snow-covered swamp, 1 for mountain, and 1 for forest, and then 3 pieces of artwork for the non-snow-covered basic lands. Let's just dwell on that a little bit. These are cool. I'm not sure whether this is my favourite swamp artwork, where the artwork is the same, each piece of artwork is really good. Sometimes when you're looking at artwork of a particular manner, you find, maybe you like a couple of the pieces of artwork and the third one not so much, but yeah, these are cool. I don't know whether each one of these has some sort of... I don't think so. No. Okay. Right, so that's the slicing and dicing of the set done from the point of view of the various abilities, cycles, and land. So let's look at some of the other just general things. So we've got 134 creatures in the set here, and some of this artwork's pretty spectacular. This was a dodgy time artwork wise in Magic's history, particularly prior to this, where some of the artwork was not really up to scratch, but you can see already some of the stuff in here is just awesome. And some of it is like in styles that we've never seen again, or we don't see in the modern sort of modern era. Particularly like this sort of style. I don't know how much we see that now. Okay, 53 instants. Disenchant is in the set. And we've got things like Heal and Swords to Plowshares and Brainstorm and Counterspell, and I'm sure if you've played a Magic a while, Ray of Erasure, you'll recognise a lot of these. Dark Banishing, Dark Ritual, Howl from Beyond. We've got Incinerate, things like Pyroblast, Shatter, Giant Growth, and then a couple of interesting 2-colour cards, Essence Vortex. So blue-black. So look at that. Destroy target creature unless its controller plays life equal to its toughness. A creature destroyed this way can't be regenerated. And then Fire Covenant. white, black, red. Let's just bring this up. There's an additional cost to cast a spell, pay X life. Fire Covenant deals X damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures. So, yeah, not the sort of spell you'd necessarily see nowadays, but just super fascinating to see the contextually what was going on then. Okay, 29 sorceries. Got things like land destruction. Notice it's really imbalanced colour-wise. And we've got a few multicoloured cards here as well. There's another land destructions, Stone Rain. We've got Jackal Hoops. It's in the set. So that's our red, we've got mass removal in red. And then we get a certain amount of hate and hosing as well. So like some colour specific removal. Here's enchantments. There's actually 95 enchantments in the set. So large set. Large number of enchantments, many of which we've seen already. We got any lockdown auras? Chaos Moon. And then 45 artifacts. We've got things like Barb's Sextant. And again, this is a sort of card you've seen. Again, functional reprints of this type of card. And it's been reprinted in its original form a few times, as you can see there as well. We didn't have equipment back then, so you've got this sort of pseudo equipment that seems to crop up. We've got other things like Despotic Scepter, and again, the power of enchantments is these can go in any colour deck, although within this set, again, you'll see the presence of certain things that are allied colour specific, or also like hose certain colours, enemy colours. We've got things like Zoran Orb as well. And banding gets to play here. And then you'll see there's a number of like things like counters and time counters and other things like that in use to keep track of various states. Icy Manipulator. Oh, Ice Cauldron. Yeah, the Oracle text isn't even any better. You may exile an online card from your hand. You may cast that card for as long as it remains exiled. Put your charge counter on Ice Cauldron and note the type and amount of mana spent to pay its activation cost. Activate only if there are no charge counters on Ice Cauldron, so that's X and tap. Tap, remove a charge counter from Ice Cauldron. Add Ice Cauldron's last noted type and amount of mana. Spend this mana only to cast the last card exiled with Ice Cauldron. I don't know if that's the longest piece of a rules text on a card. It probably isn't. But yeah, it's getting pretty close there. And then we've got things like Jester's Cap as well in the set. So it's a way of hosing combo. So you 2 sacrifices search target player's library for 3 cards and exile them. So that will sort out combo players. Make them very sad. 4 legendaries in the set. General, Jarkled, 3 and a white. You get to switch the blocking creature. 2 target attacking creatures, all defense must remain legal. Uses ability only during combat, after defense is chosen and before damage is dealt. So really specific as to where that occurs. Martin Stromgold, 2 and 2 red. It's messing about with creatures' powers and toughness that are attacking. It's all other. There's other creatures, not Martin themselves. Skeleton Ship, 3 blue black. Puts -1/-1 counters on target creatures or on a target creature. But you have to control an island, otherwise it gets buried. And then Merrick Reberit, I think that is. White, blue, black. Doesn't untap during your untap phase. You can use it to basically tap it and it gains control of a target creature. You lose control of that creature if you lose control of Merrick. If Merrick leaves play or becomes untapped, bury the creature. And we're back to the set again. I'm not going to scroll through this. We've sort of seen it already up here, but I always like to have this here in case I've forgotten something. It's a pretty large set, so I think I've probably, I'm never going to cover every aspect of the set, but I think I've managed to just cover the key things in here, the key themes, if you like, and highlighted up some of the more common cards that some people might be familiar with or are used to sort of functional reprints. There's things like Power Sync in here, and Ray of Command as well, and so on. So most expensive card, Necropotent Potence, made everybody very sad at the time. Skip your draw step. When you discard a card, exile that card from the graveyard, pay 1 life, exile that top card of your library face down, put that card into your hand at the beginning of the next end step. Very powerful card. In this set, it's $45. We've got Underground River. No surprise to see that the more expensive cards are going to be the Dual Lands. We've got Demonic Consultation. Sort of restrained tutor, I suppose, in that you only get to look at the top 6 cards of your library. Oh, another dual land. Illusions of Grandeur. So already we're getting down to about the $14 mark. Yep. Jester's Cap. I would expect to see that fairly high up. It hasn't been reprinted many times. Was in the From the Vaults. And then Ultra Bone. And by the time we get to... So we've got some... So the snow-covered lands themselves, particularly the island, can be quite pricey. They were also reprinted, although different artwork, in a number of different sets. We've got Jester's Mask. So now we've dropped below $10 mark. So with Jester's Mask comes into the battlefield, tap it, sacrifice it, target opponent puts the cards from their hand on top of their library, search that player's library for that many cards. That player puts those cards into the hand, then shuffles. Oh, there's our brush land. And so on. And the Pox. Lovely. And then finally, EDH All-Stars, Swords to Plowshares. Swords to Plowshares, Counterspell, Brainstorm, Mystic Remora, Dark Ritual, Findhorn Elves, Nature's Law. I'm sure you recognise most of these. Pyroblast, Wild Growth, Necropotence, and so on and so forth. Disenchant, Dance of the Dead. Another card with a word salad. So yeah, it's pretty enjoyable. I hope the blown up artwork slightly helped here. When I was putting it together, I did notice that, like I said, the artwork source, it was possible to do that before it got too grainy. Sometimes with these, you can't always do that. There is a limit beyond which, that looks actually pretty good even at that level. See a certain amount of graininess. yeah, that is a cool set. Now, as I mentioned already, of course, by today's standard, you may find many of the creatures in here slightly underpowered, and many of the spells, by comparing them to modern sets, slightly overpowered. But that was just, the nature of Magic at the time. So there we have it. Ice Age. Thanks again for watching. Thanks for everybody's continual viewership throughout this year. And hopefully we'll have an interesting and slightly less stressful 2022. If you haven't done already and you are interested in music, then I've got a music podcast on Spotify called Music The Obsession, which currently there's a series on there called Lost in Music, which looks at plays various tracks and sort of talks about some interesting stuff around those tracks, both from my personal perspective and like music based track information. So yeah, if you've got Spotify, then you have time, it's a nice thing to check out. And so I think I'll stop it there. So bye for now, and thanks once again for watching.